This is EdUp Accelerated Excellence.
Leaders, entrepreneurs, and change agents looking for the opportunity to network and exchange ideas with other trailblazers and to further your brand. The 2.0 conference is for you. Experts from the fields of education, health, internet, marketing, and CXO are welcome to take part in the 2025 conference in Las Vegas, March 4th through 6th. Reserve your space today and receive a 10% discount courtesy of EdUp Accelerated Excellence with the code EdUpXE10OFF. That's EdUpXE10OFF. Learn more and register online at www.the2conf.com. That's the2conf.com with the code EdUpXE10OFF.
Welcome to EdUp Accelerated Excellence, a podcast for the advancement of educational effectiveness and equity. And I always say this, I have another wonderful guest. Well, this person is near and dear to my heart. We are both products of the same program, which is the Holmes Scholars Program. We may talk a bit about that towards the end, but that's not why we're here today. So I'm going to let my friend and colleague and cheerleader, and she's also someone who's a mentor. We're kind of co-mentors in that regard. Introduce herself, because I like the idea of hearing someone say their name, giving voice to that individual. So guest, would you introduce yourself for the EdUp Accelerated Excellence community?
Well, hello there, Jacob Easley, friend and colleague. I'm Monika Williams Shealey, and I'm the Dean of the College of Education and Human Development at Temple University in Philadelphia. And I'm excited to finally be invited. It took you long enough, but I'm finally here, and I'm just going to enjoy this conversation today.
So did I not say she is my cheerleader? And she's like she's my scholar sister. So you know how what family would do, they'll put you in your place. So I receive it. You're here now, so we're gonna make this happen. I'm gonna jump right into it. I read a slogan somewhere that reads, "Temple is Philadelphia." Can you unpack this concept and share with us what it means for the College of Education and Human Development?
Yeah, well, I have to give credit where it's due. One of our staff members, Shanae Bryant, leads our teacher residency program, and she's our recruiter, and she is our representative to our teacher ed community, particularly in the city of Philadelphia. And we completed a video recently that really spoke to our vision, mission, and values, and talked about who we are today, but also our aspirations and want to be over the next 3 to 5 years. And in her interview, in this video that also features our former president, now Chancellor Dick Englert, and some other folks, includes me as well and others. But in the video, she talks about what makes Temple special. And she said, Temple is Philadelphia. I could not get that out of my head. I was like, she's right. We live and breathe the city of Philadelphia. We are the public urban research institution in the city. Therefore, we should embody the city, and certainly our College of Education and Human Development strives to live that out in the work that we do.
Everyone may not know that Temple is a public institution. So in brief, can you share with us, what does that mean? Particularly, you're in this cradle of so many wonderful institutions for higher education. So what does it mean to be the public institution in that arena?
Yeah. Well, our founder, Russell Conwell, was a preacher, and he wrote the sermon and shared it called Acres of Diamonds. And what he said was that we have acres of diamonds in our backyard, and that is the audience for Temple University. Those are the folks that we seek out. And so Temple started as a night school and really serving the working class people. And what we have evolved to today is a research extensive institution with a number of professional schools, medical school, dental, pharmacy. And of course, the start of the university was the College of Education and Human Development. He started with a teacher, bringing a teacher onto the faculty, and the first classes that were offered in the 1800s were for the school district of Philadelphia in the area of kindergarten education. And so we're proud of that history and that legacy. It drives, who we are today. And so the work of our college really aligns to that mission of Russell Conwell and why our institution was founded. And what it means is that we haven't lost sight of who we are here to serve. Certainly, we're a global institution. We have a campus in Tokyo, Japan. We're adding one in Kyoto in January. We also have a campus in Rome, and our college has a program in Jamaica where we support students seeking their master's and their EDD in educational leadership. So we have a global reach, but we've doubled down on our commitment to the city, and the city is home. And so we live that out every day.
So I really like the acres of diamonds in your backyard,
Me
which
too. I
which
love that.
I mean it's amazing. So it means that that place means so much. And so even though you have a global sphere of influence, that essentially your work is like localization, thinking locally and acting globally.
Yes, absolutely. You've captured it.
So you have a new mission and strategic direction for the school.
We
Uh,
do.
Now, I wanted, because you've had quite a few roles in your trajectory, having worked prior in other institutions. How does this vision that you and your colleagues have shaped out differ from your previous work, particularly around diversity and inclusion? And then what are some of the initiatives around this work that you're excited about?
Yeah, thank you for asking the question, linking it to certainly my commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, for 6 years, I served as Dean of the College of Education at Rowan University, and we had a very different vision for the college. At that time, we were a comprehensive state research institution, but the president of the university and the provost had aspirations that we would be more research focused, and that's where I came from, a research one institution, University of Missouri, Kansas City, and I was the first actually dean, in addition to being the first Black dean to serve in that role, but the first dean that they had hired outside of the university. And so the purpose was to elevate the purpose in seeking someone from the outside was to elevate the prominence of the institution locally, regionally, but also nationally as the institution grew nationally. The temple, coming to Temple was like coming home for me as an urban special educator. I had spent much of my career at urban serving institutions. Started at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and then Florida International University in Miami, and then the University of Missouri in Kansas City, all urban serving institutions. My draw to Rowan and serving as dean was absolutely to work with the city of Camden. And that might be surprising for some folks that, not many people move to New Jersey to work with the city of Camden as a higher ed scholar and leader. And I was drawn to urban serving institutions very early in my career. And I had read about Camden, New Jersey, and Jonathan Kozol's work, Savage and Equality. So I was always drawn to the work. And so the opportunity to work with Camden was very attractive for me. But coming to Temple, with its history, with its legacy of excellence in urban education, felt like I was actually coming full circle. I was coming to the place where urban education is a part of its DNA. And so after spending 6 years as dean, I then moved to senior vice president for diversity, equity, and inclusion at Rowan. And the reason that I did that at that time was because the institution did not have an infrastructure to support the work that a lot of people saw us doing in the College of Education. We
Mhm.
started a program for diverse males in education, the first in the state of New Jersey, still the only one in the state of New Jersey. We started a Center for Access, Success, and Equity and a PhD program that was very much tied to that center. So the work that we were doing in our college exemplified diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it just made sense for me to facilitate that work on a larger scale for the university. And so I did that for 4 years, and then Temple called. Temple was looking for a dean that had a commitment, track record in urban education. And for me, it was a win-win. It was an opportunity to not come in and build, because that's what we had to do at Rowan, was build systems and structures that did not exist. But at Temple, it's not building, it's actually reimagining the work that we've already done. And diversity, equity, and inclusion is embedded in that work, certainly with the commitment to urban education, which you'll start to see throughout our entire college over the next 3 years, as well, and see it in a more intentional way with the community. And then certainly as our institution has evolved over time, I see our work as really bridging the gap between the community and the institution. And our college is well situated to do that.
So I'm hearing a theme, acres of diamonds in the backyard. So you were in Rowan, which is literally
Yeah,
a stone's throw away from Philadelphia, which is in
yes,
Glassboro, right?
that's right. 30,
Okay.
about 30, 40 minutes away.
Absolutely. So in this case, you were a diamond in the backyard. But let's talk about first. You mentioned first in your position at Rowan. So here's another first. You're the
Yes,
first female dean for the College of Education and Human Development at Temple University. What does
yes.
that mean for you?
Wow. Well, that's a interesting question, because on one hand, I'm like, yay, Temple, for finally realizing that women can lead. And then on the other hand, I'm like, wait a minute, what took you so long? We're over 100 years old. There have been
Right.
some amazing women that I believe are just as talented or even more talented than me. So I think I came at the right time. And I'm really happy about that. And certainly, I see it as just an opportunity to demonstrate how we can, live out our commitment to equitable work in the college, and do that by demonstrating that women can lead college schools and colleges of education and human development around the country, particularly in a city like Philadelphia.
Right. Well, they say representation matters, but I'm
Right.
I'm I'm convinced that influential representation matters even more. And so
Yes, I agree with you.
you're in a position of influence here. So what first sparked your interest in the intersection of urban education and special education, and how have those early years influenced your career today?
Yeah, that question makes me reflect, go way back and reflect on how I even came to education. And it was really happenstance. It was not intentional. I was a business major at the University of South Florida, and just self-advising one semester when I really shouldn't be self-advising. That's what we tell our students, not to self-advise, go to a professional advisor. And I was like, I got this. Let me take something in education. I felt like I just needed a break. And honestly, I thought, hey, it's education. Clearly, I know something about that. I went to school. So let me just go take a class. It was not even, I think, Now that I think back, I might have been drawn to it in some ways, but at the time, I thought it was just a class that I could take to fill up my schedule. So I took a class on, at the time, it was called Teaching Children with Mental Retardation. I knew nothing about mental retardation. Didn't have folks that were close to me that had that label. Just didn't even know. If I thought back to my school experience, didn't see children with disabilities in my classes. They weren't in my circle. So I thought this class was just going to just be eye-opening. Like I was just going to learn something new. And mental retardation, at that time, we threw those terms around, just so casually. But
Right.
we really didn't know I didn't know what they meant. So I took this class and it changed my life, Jacob. I remember sitting in the class hearing about this case called Larry P. versus Riles, and I won't forget it because it talked about Black families suing the state of California because their children were placed in programs for the mentally retarded based on IQ testing, solely IQ testing. And I couldn't believe it. I was just astounded that one thing, one measure, one, norm reference exam could determine your reality and your future. And it was interesting because I remember talking when we talked about this case and reading the articles about what happened. The judge in the case said it's not only that these programs don't prepare the students for society more broadly, but he called it like dead end. These are dead end programs, and I was angered, and I was inspired. Like, I just thought I need to do something about this. Like, I have to do something. And I was like, let's just start by being a special ed teacher. How about I just teach so well that these kids, if they're in my class, they're out of my class because I've taught them so well they don't need special education. Or let me just learn more about this so I can challenge it because I just don't know enough. And that's how I landed in special education, particularly learning disabilities was the major that
Mhm.
I selected. And then I started teaching, and my first class was a portable trailer of sorts in the back of the school. And so I taught a classroom full of boys, predominantly African American boys. And that's when it hit me like, whoa, this is like real. Like that case was in the 1960s. And I graduated in 1995. And this is still happening,
Right.
still happening. And so that is when I decided that I wanted to teach in schools like the urban school that I was in St. Petersburg, Florida. And then I learned over time, went back to get a master's degree in special education, went to get an EDS degree in reading and learning disabilities, still searching for answers, feeling like I don't know enough. And finally, after teaching in Miami, Florida, I realized I needed to get a PhD because I just did not know enough. And I thought I would go back and change schools as
Right.
a principal or something, but I was drawn to my PhD program because of those experiences in the classroom.
Well, it sounds like there was something that drew you that you didn't even see, even that first course that you took.
Yeah.
And then this quest for seeking solutions to an issue that's important. So I'm naming that sort of you became an empathetic advocate.
Yeah, I
And I
like that.
like I like this idea of you saying I was angered but also inspired.
Yeah.
And I think people don't often understand those tensions in dualities in emotional or even how we look at issues, where there can be something problematic, but there's also something promising in the exact same case.
Hmm.
So that's really powerful. And
Experts from the fields of education, health, internet, marketing, and CXO are welcome to take part in the 2025 2.0 conference in Las Vegas, March 4th through 6th. Reserve your space today and receive a 10% discount courtesy of EdUp Accelerated Excellence with the code EdUpXE10OFF. That's EdUpXE10OFF. Learn more and register online at www.the2conf.com. That's the2conf.com with the code EdUpXE10OFF.
How do you think that shapes your work today?
Yeah, I can see evidence of that early kind of advocacy, passion every day
Okay.
in my role as dean. Because for me, I feel like I'm in a position that allows me to be able to lead systemic change. And
Hmm.
so I draw upon those experiences in the classroom, what I learned as a faculty member and engaging in research with marginalized communities. I realized that in order to enact systemic change, then I needed to be in a position that facilitated that work. And so I get to do that every day. And I get to be a reminder to our college of the urgency of our work. I'm in schools. Every Thursday is my school day. And that school day is either I'm in the classroom at Temple or I'm in a classroom in the city of Philadelphia. I'm trying to learn more about the education landscape and how we are able to prepare our future educators and leaders and practitioners for the realities that they will face today, and not what we were facing 20, 30 years ago when I was in the classroom. And so that's how I stay current, but that's how I also help to bridge research to practice in my leadership by sharing what I've learned. I do a weekly blog with the college, and I'm featuring, what I've learned during those visits in schools. And that informs the policies and certainly the curriculum that we are constantly evaluating to ensure that we're on target. We are moving in the right direction as it relates to the folks that we serve.
So I really like that example of being in classrooms, let's put it that way. And you talked about research. So I'm going to go back to this idea of complexity and duality. In
Mhm.
this case, so you are a researcher, you are a dean. How do you balance conducting research, supporting research, engaging in practice, and the responsibilities of strategic leadership? So how do you balance that three-legged stool?
Uh, I don't even think I balance it. I want to see who balances it because I don't even know how to do that. I don't know how to balance it. I know that, my job now is dean. They hired an administrator, and they didn't hire me to engage in research. They hired me to strategically lead the college. So that's my primary responsibility.
Right.
But as you mentioned previously around the duality of our identities, that's absolutely a part of who I am. Like those questions that I had even as an undergraduate student, those questions drove my desire to get a PhD. Those questions drove my dissertation topic. I did it, my dissertation at an urban school in Daytona Beach that was considered an F failing school by the state of Florida. And I wanted to study those amazing star teachers in that school because I knew they existed. I was there, engaging in PDS work with them. I saw their excellence. So I wanted to shine a light on that. And so, so those questions that I see when I'm out in the field or when I'm in our college and sitting in on classes, those questions I pose for my colleagues. propose to my colleagues as an effort to think about how those questions inform our practice, as well as those questions, how they inform how we address, how we come up with solutions to those vexing issues that we see, certainly in the classroom. And it helps me to be able to promote research as well, at the highest level, because I'm asking our faculty and our students to take on some of these issues in the community that will certainly engage in providing equitable educational opportunities, but also in community transformation. And then, ultimately, they help us to be better at preparing future leaders, scholars, and practitioners. And so my research has evolved over time, where those original questions that I had as a doc student and as an early career scholar, I'm now studying how we do this, how we, as a leader, how do you engage in systemic change, particularly in climates that may be challenging, climates that are not always welcoming of addressing issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The climates where, resources are slim to none in some cases, in schools and in communities, they're looking for assistance from us. And so we want to be able to document, certainly what's happening in these communities, how we're engaging in systemic change, and how we're partnering in meaningful and intentional ways. So the research, the inquiry, I would say the inquiry is
Mhm.
at the root of who I am. But how that plays out in my research and my scholarship has shifted over time. And it's become no longer about my research. It's become about our research as a college. So I see my role is promoting opportunities to tell the stories about the work that we're doing.
Well, when to hear you talk, the idea of questioning is a thread. So
Mhm.
this notion of lifelong learning, still wondering what is possible, there it rings through. So I commend you on that. But you talked a bit about facing challenges in challenging times. So the nation is facing a teacher shortage. There's also concern regarding the next presidential administration disbanding the U.S. Education Department. So, amid these challenges, what advice might you share for someone who might be considering the education profession like you were as a business major? And what would be their unique experience should they choose to study at Temple University?
Yeah, that's a lot, Jacob.
Well, we can unpack it. So,
That's a
how do
lot.
we encourage those people who might have some idea or wondering about what it may be to join the profession, and then what
Yeah.
would be the Temple experience?
Yeah, well, that's a question that we are posed with every day when we see across the country enrollments, particularly in colleges and schools of education in the area of teacher education, are declining. And we don't see that changing significantly in the next 3 to 5 years. But what we have decided to focus on in our college is impact. And
Mm,
certainly, we know from research and we know anecdotally the impact of teachers on the lives of learners. And that story, it transcends what's happening politically, what's happening um, certainly what's happening in terms of lack of resources that are available in some communities and how that impacts education. So the ability to be able to positively influence a learner's life that will then transform the life of their family and their community, it changes their entire trajectory. And so, what I have learned is that every child that comes into a school and every family that sends their child to a school, they're expecting the best. They're sending us their best. They're not hiding their best kids under their bed and it's like, yeah, I'm sending the worst to school. They're sending us their very best. And it is up to us to use the opportunity that we have with them to be able to help them to build bridges from what they know, what the knowledge that they bring to the classroom, to the knowledge that we need to make sure that they are able to access, to be able to open up doors for them.
Right.
And so that is our job. And it is an amazing opportunity. Is it hard? Yes. Is it going to be one that there'll be days where you're like, I don't even know why I'm here. I feel so overwhelmed. I'm so tired. I'm so sick, physically sick, because all the kids are getting me sick, all the things. But at the end of the day, I think that it is the most honorable career. And I know people say that, but some people say they don't mean it because they don't value teachers and education in the way that we believe they should. But I say it because I'm still educating as dean. So it doesn't mean that going to stay in the classroom 30, 40 years. You can if that is your passion and that's where you see yourself best able to reach your goals. But what it means is that the knowledge and skills that you're able to develop as a teacher, those skills transcend the classroom. And those
Mhm.
skills will help you to be able to educate in whatever arena you're in and serve as an effective advocate for public education. And we know that we certainly need more effective advocates for public education. So in light of what the rhetoric is around education, the efforts to privatize education, the politics around the Department of Education and what will happen to it in the future. You know, Jacob, I just told our faculty after the election because I could read the room. I could sense that there were a lot of nerves, unanswered questions, and I didn't have the answers to their questions. And I don't know if I'm able to be able to effectively quell their anxieties. But
Right.
what I did say is that it doesn't matter who sits in the office of the presidency because we will continue to do what we have been doing, and that is living out the vision and the mission of our founder in cultivating and nurturing those acres of diamonds in our backyard. And Philadelphia has a lot of diamonds that need a lot of cultivating and nurturing. And so that's our job. Stay focused on our mission. Resources may vary in terms of where they're coming from and how much we have access to, but I'm at a place that's committed to its institution's mission, and our college is committed to ensuring that whatever resources we are able to secure and generate go to that purpose and that mission. And so that gives me hope. I hope that gives future educators hope that they will find a place that where they will be able to serve and they will be able to see the positive impact on the lives of those learners.
So, what can the EdUp Accelerated Excellence community look forward to from Dr. Monika Williams, Shealey, regarding projects or speaking engagements, etc.? So, what can we look for?
Yeah, well, you'll look for, I hope you'll find in your search
I
as
like.
you're looking at me and looking into the work that I'm doing, and certainly the College of Education and Human Development at Temple, look for us to be doubling down That I like to say that we're doubling down on our commitment to the city of Philadelphia. And I like to say that because it's actually true. We have things that are in motion to be able to demonstrate that commitment. So in the next 3 to 5 years, you'll see certainly the promise of Russell Conwell and those acres of diamonds in our backyard. You'll start to see that evidence in some of the formal partnerships that we have with schools in our neighborhood, literally schools in our backyard. You'll see that certainly in our programming. Urban education is not just one program in our college. We have a new master's program. We're reimagining our teacher education program to focus much more intentionally on urban teacher education. We already have a residency program over 20 years old, dedicated certainly to the work or to the learners of Philadelphia. And we're hiring our first urban teacher education faculty member for fall 2025 and reactivating our PhD in urban education program, looking for scholars who want to study at Temple. We have a rich legacy of urban education, and so we want to build on that. We want to tap into our amazing alumni who are leaders all across the country, who are leading in schools and colleges of ed, who are also in think tanks and in invested in community activism. And then I hope that you'll also be able to see how our college is serving as the mechanism for the university to live up to its commitments to the community.
Mhm.
And so all of the schools and colleges at Temple have some hand in P through 12 education, outreach programs, whether that be program services or faculty engaged in research. Our job as the College of Education and Human Development, one of our many jobs, is to be able to leverage those collective resources of the university so that they align to the priorities of the school. And for the school district of Philadelphia, they've been very clear about ensuring, that students are achieving at greater levels in literacy and math, that their attendance rate is increasing as well as their graduation rate and school engagement. Students are engaged in activities that make them want to be in school, that challenge them to seek excellence. And so that is a part of our work. And so I'm hoping in the next 3 to 5 years, you'll be able to see clear evidence of that in the community.
And then how might individuals support and engage in the work of the College of Education and Human Development at
I'm glad
Temple?
you asked. I'm glad you asked. There are multiple ways to give. And, in our community, Jacob, we talk about giving your time, your talent, and your treasures, right? So, certainly in terms of time, we welcome those of you that are educators, former educators, retired educators, people that just care about education and human development. There are opportunities to volunteer and to support our students and our alumni. So please reach out to us. We have a plethora of resources that are directed by our external relations department and our alumni engagement office as well. And then in terms of, your talents, we have a board of visitors, an alumni board for those owls out there that want to reconnect with Temple, particularly our College of Education and Human Development. And certainly, we hope that you look for our work, our research that is being led by our faculty and our students. We also hope that you look for opportunities where we are engaged in and meaningful service to help us to be connected to others who may be in need, but also to expand the work we're already doing. And that leads to the final area of your treasures. There are ways to give that will help us to advance all of the work that I've talked about and the amazing things I haven't been able to talk about that provide direct services to learners and their families. And so we want to just make sure that we continue to do that work, particularly when there are external forces at work that might try to limit the scope of our ability to enact change. And so you can be a part of that by ensuring that our recruitment of high quality, diverse teachers continues, that we continue to provide direct services through our psychoeducational clinic to children, youth, and community members, and that we continue as well to ensure that our curriculum and our teaching and service reflects the needs of those communities. And you can be a part of that by joining us as a student.
And you can connect on the web at education.temple.edu. Education.temple.edu. Dr. Monika Shealey, thank you for this opportunity to learn from and with you here at EdUp Accelerated Excellence.
Thank you, Jacob, for the opportunity, and community members out there who are watching. Let's be encouraged and let's engage in some meaningful and impactful work together. Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
A special thanks to our research assistant for this episode, Emily Bloom, graduate student researcher at Fordham University, studying in the Mental Health Counseling program. And we want to hear from you. If you have feedback on this or other episodes, contact us online at edupxe.com, that's edupxe.com.
Thank you for engaging with the EdUp Accelerated Excellence community. You can find this episode and others on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Music. And if you like this episode, please don't forget to follow us and share within your network.